Hello everyone, this is Foxcat, and welcome back to uh, explaining High Five Friends. Sorry if I'm a little bit down. Like I said, it's been kind of a recent. My mind is not in the best of states right now, but that doesn't mean I can't talk about this series and stuff. So today we're gonna go ahead and talk about the recent episode that was released and kind of explained it. And I know it's kind of weird that I'm going ahead and jumping in kind of like very early into this, but that's only because this episode, while it is filled with some interesting information, it actually doesn't have any much coding at all this time, which is probably thank freaking God, because really my mindset isn't in place to do some of that yet for now. But that's only because there's still a lot of unique details going on right now. And I kind of actually do want to talk about it because despite not having codings, it does have a lot of interesting development. And as GB Reed has stated before, uh, he says that after this episode, or literally starting this episode, things will get very dark. And yeah, spoiler warning, he was not joking on that. But let's go ahead and get into it. And again, this will be more of a short explain video, but it's very much an interesting one, no less. The first interesting thing about this video today is the fact that what's interesting is at the very start where we hear a newscast. And it's very interesting. In fact, so much so, I'm not going to go get too much details, but I want you all to hear it.
Tiffany Warhol, age 28, was found dead yesterday in her suburban home. Her body was found submerged in the bathtub of a locked bathroom. What the police and investigators found odd was that Tiffany's spine had seemingly been surgically removed, and the remains found in the bathtub were partially devoured by some sort of undocumented animal species. Said animals have been taken in for closer study. A service for Tiffany will be held at Maris First Latvian Church in New Cleveland, Ohio. We will report more when investigators release further information.
And kind of after that, and we'll get to that in a bit, there's just a mirage of news stories being talking about, and really just dumbing down the fact that, of course, we've seen this scene before. Is just talking about how there's a lot of things about a person being at the start of course, the series, of course, but we've seen this before. Ooh, and actually, I didn't realize about that. That's actually a good Easter egg right there. I was playing a bit, but still, other than that, just that. Sorry about that. And we then, of course, get to Happy talking to his boss. And really, there's not too much to talk about this scene in particular and what does happen later on. It mostly goes as what you expected, except for one major thing that is very interesting. For starters, we're introduced to the already new core host, which we kind of already know about. But then something else actually does happen, and it's very, let's just say, interesting. Take a look.
We'll bring Soul Corp to the next level.
Thank him for helping you, Happy.
Stop listening to your dad. No, not this time, Heart.
I said, thank him.
I said no.
Now, show him some love. Kiss his shoes and thank him.
Thank you for your help. I appreciate it so much.
Tell him you love him.
I love you. That's a weird welcome, but I accept it.
I forgot something in the car. Just gonna.
Yeah, that's a probably best reaction to that. But we'll get to that in a bit. But anyways, rest of it is kind of straightforward, but also very interesting to say the least. What does happen, and as we'll soon see, after the manager gets the thing he was missing in his car, a song, then the guy literally sings to him. But it's interesting because, as seen in this lyrics, he said he is not his enemy, but yet he's the boss, could be an enemy, and pretty much as you might guess for the song, it's pretty straightforward. He's just trying to take his job. Like, literally, the guy, Us, I think his name was, literally is just trying to take the other person's job. The manager's job. Towards the end, nothing too much happens, but what's interesting is the fact that Happy was getting a check, but it turns out there's taxes, but you could probably tell they were just cut away, which fun fact, it was actually hinted at during the live stream we talked about before. You know, the one where he, kind of went insane, to say the least. And it's kind of pretty straightforward, and he starts getting angry, but the biggest thing about this that should be really concerning and important is there is a point where there's this airplane, which you probably saw from the thumbnail, and I don't know if that even is code right there, but it's just an airplane going off. But that is, as we know, that is a single to stuff. And then this thing happens right here where we see Happy's sister, which we recall she's on a dating site. And as you may notice through that gloves, the killer is talking to her. And of course, this real quick, one more thing. I missed it, but you saw the airplane thing. Well, to clarify, I looked into it, and just without that stuff because they accidentally covered that. But it's on the skeleton's skull, which is very important. And yeah, that's literally it. Like, there's really, even though it did have some interesting information, there wasn't really a whole lot to go by. It was just stuff we already knew, plus some interesting things. Now, two more things I need to note. One that I did admit I accidentally skipped on was the guy we met. According to them, it turns out this guy was also met in the pet store. I think it was mentioned before, but I don't know. But this is the first official time they confirmed that he was from the pet store that give Happy the critters, which is actually also very interesting to say the least. And it definitely, it's definitely pointing at this guy. And it's interesting because, as I guess you may have saw, he has a other name that basically is a robot name, which is interesting. And according to Happy, he never thought that unit shouldn't be out of their programming. So that's very interesting to say the least. And one other thing, which I did miss, admittedly, because I was pretty much not paying attention to it, but that fun Easter egg we just saw, that was actually the Easter egg of a woman who mysteriously died in an elevator. I'm not going to go into too many details, but there's a lot of mystery behind that woman who died in that elevator. You can look it up. It's pretty easy to find. Pretty interesting that he put that in there. That's a fun Easter egg. But that's probably not connected to the story. But what is connected to the story is the stuff I did show, because it's very, let's just say, very interesting. So the first major thing to talk about is literally the radio. The radio talked about Tiffany's death, which we heard before, and to clarification, Tiffany is the girlfriend of Happy, but at this point they kind of confirmed she's dead. And what's interesting is they confirm two things. One, they confirmed that she got her spine taken out, which I think it was already stated, but interesting, we got more information of the second thing. Being Critters was in the house, which was pretty much already hinted at with multiple things, because the Critters in the house was shown in the previous episode, and Obviously, it's referring to it when they said mysterious species, which I wonder if Grant is making a reference to cryptid species, which are species that are thought to exist but has no records of. Think of it like the Mothman or like Bigfoot or something like that. I don't know. But it's definitely interesting because this does tie into the scenes we've been seeing already. When Happy went into that area of the door, that must have been actually in the past. And if I had to guess what's been going on, if we had to put things in order, Happy did what he said he did, which, yeah, he did. He licked and yelled and screamed out in front of a door and tried to break in. Then possibly he may have been there when he saw the bugs, which, let's be honest, the critters are freaking bugs. And remember, they're probably either a representation of either maggots, flies, which are a thing, but the evolved into maggots, or cockroaches. But either way, bugs. Then he escaped because the cops were coming in. And during that time, without his knowledge, someone must have come in there and murdered Tiffany. And then when he walked out, he had to clean up the blood with the knife, which we saw. Why is this all important? Is because this does confirm that unfortunately Happy was the scene, but now I'm truly thinking that Happy may have not killed Tiffany, but he's now in serious trouble because obviously now people are going to start thinking he did it. It's unknown for sure. And I could be wrong because that scene earlier in the series where Happy is doing that thing to that one other person's door, it's unknown if that's connected to what I'm saying, or it's actually that took place during that time period. But after seeing what happened with the last episode and seeing the critters all in that house, it's pretty clear that he was there at that time. But you may have noticed something interesting. According to Happy, which was kind of already been confirmed, but when you think about it, and something we kind of overlooked, was Happy got the critters from the unit, who's being his co-worker now, and co-host. Because, again, they found him at the pet store, and guess who was at the pet store selling these guys? Unit. Unit works at the pet store as well. They confirmed this in this episode. So, and as we've been seeing, his gloves are literally the same gloves as the killers. Like, it's pretty clear now that it's possible that this unit bot could be actually the killer. Or, I don't know, maybe they'll pull up another plot twist of another killer. Who knows? But it's very interesting to say the least. And at this point, really, I do not trust this unit bot. I know something fishy was going to be on with this guy. They already kind of confirmed it because this guy literally wants to take the boss's job away. So it's very interesting. And I want to see how that arc goes. But it's definitely really interesting, to say the least. And by the way, as for that one scene I also skipped, for those of you who don't know, I skipped a thing which was kind of like a cutaway where it kind of did show Unit being a sales dealsman, because Happy was like questioning, hey, are you really a sales demon? He's sales dealsman, and he's like, yeah, I did this before. So So, but I don't know if there is truly a connection to that. I think that was just random funniness because it was talking about some other commercial about giving a dog something. I have no idea. I don't usually watch commercials that much anymore, but I don't think that was. I think that was just showing that he can do it. But it's very interesting because it shows what his true intent might be. And if I have to really theorize, especially after the song, he possibly wants to take over the Naomi company and the Soul Corp. How? I have no idea, but it's definitely going to be interesting to say the least. And then, of course, finally, the biggest thing about this video is what happened with Happy and, of course, Hart. And Hart was pretty pissed off, possibly. Because as we saw, and it kind of makes sense, because Happy is the one mostly running the YouTube account, hypothetically speaking. It's possible that Hart is, because remember, Hart and, Logic is with them, is in his head. they're seeing what people are putting in. Remember, Grant has said before that the actions of the people would determine how the story will end. And pretty much people are literally saying don't listen to Hart. And even then you also saw them say kill her. And just to clarify, I say also don't listen to her, not kill her, although now I think we're probably right. I don't know. But what's interesting is when that did happen, shockingly, Hart was like, F fucking no. Like, literally, ultimate double fuck no, I guess, the way I put that, because that was sloppy. Because, yeah, as we just saw, he literally mentally controlled him. Now, again, like I said before, it's possible that this is... I keep saying this because I need to really clarify this. I really do believe the Logic and Hart thing is literally the idea, kind of the cliche story of an angel and a demon on your shoulder thing. I was just literally thinking that as metaphor. I didn't expect freaking Hart to literally mind control, body, blood, bend control the crap out of Happy and literally be like, say it and kiss his foot. I don't know what the fuck was that joke for, but yeah, it shows that Hart was obviously very aware of what's going on. And it really does beg the question of what's going on. And we do now know that it is going on in his head because, as stated, that's the perfect response from Unit and the boss. Because they're like, what the fuck are you doing? Because they don't see Logic or Hart. They're in his mind. It really does beg the question. I don't think it's truly split personality disorder, because the last time I did that, I thought it was Naomi, and it turns out it was just a group of people being different. But this kind of does point to, like it's a 50-50 now for me. I really possibly believe there might be a split personality disorder, but what is 100% confirmed is this has got to be a disorder of some kind. Something is going on with Happy in his mental state that is not right. And as we saw, the blue airplane flew upwards, which is probably not a good sign at all. But also, as stated, and you can try to look back towards it, it's kind of hard to see because the thing was blocked. But yes, it's on the skull now. And we don't know what the skull means. Like, the rest of motions make sense, but the skull, it can mean anything. Probably too much that I can't even say on YouTube, but still, it could mean any fucking thing at this point, and it's very interesting. Like, it's definitely interesting to say the least. But yeah, like I said, and as you can probably tell, there wasn't really much to talk about, other than the biggest thing here, though, at the end, yeah, I feel like Happy's sister might be in danger, because the killer might be after her next. And we still don't know the true motive of the killer. To recap, I really believe the killer might be Unit, but who knows? Maybe an Ex Machina twist could happen and he turns out not to be a killer. But what is confirmed is the killer and Happy were at the same place at the same time. But it's possibly that they were separate from the two because of how this is looking up. Happy, it must have started when Happy was acting up toward the door and then the police were called. Or maybe, now thinking about it, it maybe happened, the killing happened before Happy got in there, because I remember they called the police later on after they realized Tiffany wasn't responding. And of course now the killer seems to be after Happy's sister, who's on that dating site we saw last time. And of course the biggest thing is the fact that obviously Happy's mental state is in serious trouble, especially with Hart. So we need to figure out, I hope, well, not just me, I know most people, I don't know what to do, but this is definitely going to be interesting. And again, according to GP Reed, the next episodes will get very dark immediately. So let's just wait and see. And we're already halfway done with the series. We're on episode 5. So anyways, yeah, there's nothing much else to say. There is one more thing I do need to point out. There is a short, but I'm not going to dive into it that much. It's just what you expect of a creepy short. I'll probably do it later and see. I think there is a reverse voice But right now, I'm not in a mental state to get enough to get through that. But let's just be honest, it's obviously the only coding because that happened before episode 5 and it was probably connected, so we'll have to see. But yeah, this is gonna be very interesting. Like very interesting on how things are gonna play out. But yeah, and by the way, before I do end things off, I do want to apologize on me kind of being today. I mean, I'm fine. It's just like I've been saying, and I said this also yesterday on my Jolly Comics. A lot of things have been going on right now, and I kind of actually did reveal what's been truly going on my Jolly Comics thing because I had to make an update of, because it's freaking March, so I had to put the artwork on there. But like I said before, I'm still doing some mental stuff, but I'm fine. I'm trying to move on ahead, and kind of not truly related to this or what I just said, but tomorrow this video, tomorrow will be the final episode of the Pokemon Brilliant Diamond. Spoiler warning. I do kind of beat the champion. I did not. I'm only spoiling this now because I don't care. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is, and I'll post it in the community tab, I will be skipping Legends Arceus and going straight to Pokemon Scarlet and Violet because I've been in the mood again because of literally the new DLC, which obviously I just bought. I'm really excited for it, but we gotta have to wait until another full year when they release. Especially if you look on the eShop. But also because I can't really do Legends Arceus because I realized due to the new recording thing, which I do love, but the problem is it still has a limit of 45 minutes, as you may have guessed. And the problem is, unlike Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, Legends Arceus story kind of gets a little bit long at the beginning. And even then, it literally is just a really open world game. More so, ironically, a little bit more so than freaking Scarlet and Violet. I don't know how you can take it with a grain of salt. But I do want to do Scarlet and Violet first because of those two reasons. But yeah, and don't worry, I'll still be covering this series. It's just going to take a while because, again, the 5th episode just came out, and this is literally just 3 weeks after the 4th episode. It's going to take a while. We're just going to have to wait patiently. But anyways, this is Floxcat. Thank you so much for your patience, and I'm snapping out of here. Bye-bye.